Well, they were rowdy out there.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 2, review approval of the agenda. Chair would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 3, consent agenda. Chair would entertain a motion for this.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Moved and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Approved. Item 4A, delegations recognitions. Any audience delegations tonight?
Yes.
Okay. Item 4B, partner organization, Blue Note Boosters.
We're not able to be present.
There's a baseball game that got moved
Yeah.
here.
They weren't able to be present, but there's some information on there from them.
It looks like they hosted their first show choir festival, hosted 14 choirs from 3 states. The Booster Club serves about 80 show choir students and 35 concert choir singers. And none of the officers were able to be here. So, very good. Item 4C, MSBA.
Well, today was Advocacy Day at the Capitol. I was not able to go because I was teaching, but that's a day that we can go and we can meet some of the legislators and get to know them, tell them some of our concerns. I will say that some things that have been going on in the House and in the Senate is there is a debate right now about the new accreditation bill that they're kind of going back and forth on. And they are the committee, so that's just like, this has not gone anywhere yet. They're talking about trying to move this to the next step, about moving school board elections to November elections and expanding it to a 4-year term. So
And adding more members. I think it's 5.
Well, it's like, it would be like 1 year. No, I don't think it's adding more members. It was 1 year, 2 candidates open, and then the next election going on would be a 5-candidate election.
That's what I mean. There'd be 5 at once, which is,
Oh, okay, yeah.
yeah, that's not.
So it's definitely different. Expanding at that. So this last month they had a spring virtual meeting, and it featured authors Eric Litwin and Dr. Gina Pepin, and they wrote the book The Power of Joyful Reading, and that was interesting to me. Eric had said that joy is not just the outcome of success, but joy is the process of success, because what they're trying to convey to schools is that, and us as a board, is that a lot of times we celebrate success, but it's not always successful. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it doesn't feel successful. Like, well, I didn't get 100 on my math, or I didn't do better in reading. I got lower. Well, have we learned anything from it though? And are you enjoying the process of the learning? And so what they're trying to, just to encourage us all is to bring joy into the classroom. Because I know this, if I'm having a bad day and it portrays on my attitude, my students feed off of that, So it's the same thing. I know I teach music, but this is anything in our classroom, reading or math, history. If our teachers are joyful about it, if our administration, our board, whatever, if we're all joyful about it, it will help portray the joy across, and the students will be more engaged. They're going to want to be there because you're excited to be there. And so that was just some of the things they talked about at the virtual meeting. And that as a board, it is our job to help bring the community together with the school district. We're here listening to people in the community, what they want. What if we're having a bad attitude about maybe some things in our district, and if maybe we show that on our face, and then it's like very easily that's a rapid fire. So what attitude do we want to have? Do we want to have a bad attitude, or do we want to have a good attitude? So I really liked listening to some of that and hearing from those authors. So he just says, let's bring joyfulness to our classroom in that area. There's some finalization going on with the grant details for the school safety, the grant that Governor Parsons announced back in February, so they're finalizing that. And the last thing on the report this month was two things. First, it is that the open enrollment has passed in the House. So open enrollment has passed in the House. And then the last thing is that MSBA wants to thank all of the school board members for our service this month because it is the School Board Appreciation Month. So I know for myself, I've enjoyed this year on being on the board, and just there's a lot of things that you don't think about, until you get you're actually here and you see all the moving parts, and it is a lot, but at the same time, it's rewarding. So thank you to the rest of you that are on here with me as well, and to the others that work with us, Mr. Munching, Susan, Ms. Deb, and Jason. So it is, our students need us to continue to keep advocating for them and doing what's best for our community. So that's it.
Very good, thank you.
Is there a date set for the annual meeting? Is it always that first weekend of November?
I think it's
Is it
November.
always in Kansas City?
Well, this year
It is,
it's in Kansas City.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, item 5C, communications. Item 5A, monthly information items. These were information items for the board. Anybody have questions about any of the information? Seeing none, item 5B, board member disclosure statement. Again, this is an information item. Make sure you have filled out your personal financial disclosure form. Do we know who has or hasn't done it? Good. Make sure you got that done. We don't want to have Susan chasing you down. Item 5C, what's great today?
Good evening. I'm here to share 3 things that are great today. The first thing, last time I was here, I talked about all the kids going to state. Today, I'm here to talk to you about all the kids going to nationals. We have several going to nationals. And I'm thinking that after this week, we may have even more because Skills goes to state Thursday and Friday or over the weekend. So, up here, first off, we'll start with our middle schooler, 6th grader, Mariah Cobb. I know. She won the Cass County Spelling Bee. Super exciting. Really exciting. It was tense at the event. But she'll be representing Cass County at the National Spelling Bee in Washington, D.C. Then you have our DECA national qualifiers, Court Devaney and Emiliana Arroyo and Josie Moore. And then also Audrey Coffey, also qualified, but Audrey's not going to be going to nationals. But the other 3 will, and they will be in Orlando in April. And then Educators Rising. We had all 6 that competed at Educators Rising competition in Fulton qualify for national competition. 4 are going to be going to Orlando, and they go in June, at the very end of June. So, and the Educators Rising, so I can get their names in, Riley Minsky, Jada Hassam, Preston Baker, Lillian Jordan, McKenna Merrifield, and Cade Collin. So, congratulations to all those national qualifiers. That's pretty cool. Just taking a moment to spotlight another program that we do as a school district art in our community. So I want to thank the community partners that participate in this and our art teachers because they make this possible. So the art in the back of the room, and then art is placed at 6 or 7 other places in the community each month. The art teachers buy that art, select art. They put the little labels on the art for me, and then we take it and display it out in the community. And you can see art at the Cass County Public Library, Community Bank of Harrisonville, Commerce Bank, Schroeder Chiropractic, Chamber of Commerce, Harrisonville Community Center, and our office, and Culver's. That's where you can find our art. So each month, K through 12 is on display. So take a moment to thank our art teachers for doing that, because that's an extra duty, and then also the community that helps us. Then, Friday before spring break, we had the privilege of announcing our finalists for all of our end of year awards programs. We have Educator of the Year finalists. We have 6 of them. Kyle Crutchfield, Angie Diggs, Laura Fries, Dr. Hoffman, Caitlin Jimenez, and Kristen Malone are our 6 Educator of the Year finalists. We will go through interview process tomorrow, Thursday night, with a panel of outside judges who will select our honoree. Our support staff finalists are Cassie Deal, Lauren Spengler, and Sharon Wright. And registrar, behavior coach, paraprofessional. And we're changing up how we're doing support staff. They're not going to do an interview this year. The interview process is pretty nerve-wracking. And so they are either going to write or present a video answering a prompt. And the judges will either read or listen to they get to choose their way they're going to express themselves. And that's how the winner is going to be selected from that. And we're doing the same process with our Rising Star. Rising Star is our new award. These are teachers in their first 5 years of teaching. So we're recognizing the rookies, so to speak. So our 6 finalists for that are Taylor Brown, CJ Keeney, Colin Shepard, Emily Studley, Amy Wilson, and Ethan Zirkle. And again, they will provide a written or a video response to a prompt that the judges will read or listen to and select our winner from that. So great pool of finalists, I think. They're all excited when we surprised them on Friday. And so excited about that and naming our winners for all those questions.
Thank you. Item 6A, assessment evaluation of district programs.
The fiscal year is 67% complete. Overall, our revenues are at 85% of our working budget, and expenditures are at 68%, so that's looking good. In comparison to last year, our funds 1 and 2 are comparable. Debt service and capital projects are quite a bit different. Just as a reminder, last year, February is when we sold our $7.5 million refunding and improvement bonds. And then, of course, that increased our expenditures, and then bond projects were in pretty full swing last year at this time, so the expenses were high there. Ending projected fund balance percentage is at 56%, which is up from 51% from last year. So that equates to about $1.3 million. So that's looking very good. And I think in Paul's budget summary, he kind of refers to that increase as well. Year to date, our revenues over expenditures were almost 6.9 million in revenues over expenditures. Cash and investments are at, 21.2 million with 350,000 left in bond proceeds. The bond projects, we're still waiting on some roofing invoices, and some of the new Kirk and Novak has a small amount left. So that's kind of, as they get towards the end of the project, they usually kind of back off on the billing and kind of wait till everything's finalized and do one final invoice. I would expect within the next month or 2 we should get that finalized. So, any questions?
Thanks, Deb. Item 6B, strategic plan update.
Just a few items. As you know, the MSIP 6 data was released last month, and it is a snapshot. It's a piece of data. I think there's a lot of people who get caught up in using it to advantage, and you know what they say about statistics. So, but there is some data that we can glean from that. A big concern probably that we've talked about in our district admin team meetings is our attendance concerns. And so, of course, with COVID, the state was telling us, don't worry about attendance, don't worry about attendance, don't worry about attendance. And now they're holding us accountable for attendance. So it is an issue, and next year we're going to have a specific plan in place. We're going to tweak that and attack that full front. So just reminding people that attendance is important, but we also are aware of mental health concerns that are more and more prevalent, and we've tried to provide resources here at school to help students want to come to school. And so there's been an increase, with our ESSER funds, an increase in mental health resources. But just recognizing that's been a pretty a key issue, and trying to attack that strategically of how we can improve our attendance, and just making that a known concern. So, school safety grant. Jenny mentioned the school safety grant. We are eligible for up to $250,000 in the school safety grant. I did apply for full funding for that grant for some projects that we have related to school safety, replacing old analog cameras, servers, and then some fire panels that are outdated that need to be replaced. So that's hopefully those will get approved.
Very good. Thanks, Paul. Item 6C, Board Annual Organization Meeting. This is an action item. Chair would entertain a motion.
I move to establish Tuesday, April 18th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. as the board's annual organizational meeting.
Motion second. Any questions? This sets the date for the board reorganization. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item 7A, Harrisonville Middle School Counselor Extended Day Proposal. This is an action item. Chair, entertain a motion.
I move to increase the extended days for HMS counselors from 7 to 10 days, beginning with the 2023-24 school year.
Second.
Motion is second. Questions? Discussion?
I think Chris did a good job in his memo explaining the need for the additional time. And again, we talked with Dr. Chastain and kind of referenced what he's familiar with, and he thought 10 days is about where they're at. So it's our recommendation.
Very good. Seeing no other questions, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Item 8A, preliminary budget for the 2023-24 school year. This is an action item. Entertain a motion.
You want to approve the salary schedules, the actions.
We took out the attached salary schedule for the 2023-24 with one step advancement for all staff.
Second.
So in March, we essentially two things need to happen from a financial standpoint. We need to review the preliminary budget, and we need to approve a certified salary schedule. So this is the existing salary schedule with recommended movement. So there is not going to be a freeze. We do anticipate, once we see where the movement is from our staff, we'll be able to hopefully provide an increase on base salary. That's the goal. With the insurance renewal, it's put things a little bit more tight. We've communicated that with the staff and with a noted preference toward the insurance side. It all comes out of the same pot, but making sure that insurance is covered. So the preliminary budget information includes anticipated revenues. The state revenues are locked basically one more year on COVID protection. So basically, everybody saw a decrease in enrollment or attendance during the COVID year. And so there's a provision in the state law that allows us to go back further to pre-COVID years when calculating our weighted ADA. That provision will drop off in 24-25. So just want the board to be aware that will, because of declining enrollment and the pattern over the last 10 to 20 years, that will have a pretty big effect on the district budget in 2 years. So we've built balances. Those balances will help protect when that drop comes. One thing I would like to make the board aware of, there is a lot of legislation moving about reducing property tax. because our enrollment is declining, our state aid is declining. So when you see those percentages, a majority of our revenues come from local revenues. And we are already capped in a lot of ways by the Hancock Amendment. There's other limitations on local revenue. I'm not quite sure why the legislature feels like we need to handcuff revenue every way possible when we don't pay teachers enough, quite frankly. And so, we look at our state numbers compared to other states and where we pay our teachers. We're really handcuffing schools. And so I just encourage people to pay attention to the legislation and the concerns for our local needs. I think people get caught up in national politics and don't necessarily pay attention to things that we can control. And I'm a big fan of local control. I think that's an important thing, and it seems like more and more that's been taken out of our hands. And so particularly when it comes to budget, when we see some of those things move through, I think that's a concern. I mentioned in my article, my highlights article about vouchers. That's a concern. It's a concern to me because I think if you look at the data, the majority of the kids that are receiving vouchers are kids that are already attending private schools, and it's supplementing their pay. So it's just some bad legislation going through, quite frankly. Open enrollment, I have some concerns about open enrollment. I see some positives possibly, but quite frankly, the state formula needs to be rewritten if that's going to be adequate, because otherwise we're going to see some problems when you have one school district that may cost $14,000 for a kid to go to school there. You have a neighboring school that costs $16,000 to go there. Well, it's not equitable if one student transfers to another school district. Then there's other considerations. Are they in career and technical education, which is expensive? Are they a special needs student, which is expensive? There's just a lot of considerations that aren't being taken into account. And so, there's fixes to it, and I think as it goes through the process, potentially they can resolve those issues. But all of those things are going to impact the school's budget, and so I just want everybody to be aware where we're at, where the balances are at, and we are not going to know. We have a preliminary expenditures and revenues right now. You are not going to know until August what the actual tax rate will be at the tax rate hearing. So our budget's a little wonky in the fact that we have a final approved budget June 30th, but you really don't know what that tax rate is until August. So this is an assessment year. I anticipate that we'll see considerable growth in assessed valuation locally this year. And a lot of that's because of inflation. So it's tied directly to the consumer price index. We're looking at 6 to 8% on consumer price index. So you'll see a pretty solid growth in those assessed valuation local dollars. So I think that's about it.
Can you talk about putting the ballot issue out there, moving the money from 3 to 1, and why that's so important?
Yeah, so you're seeing surrounding school districts doing that right now, but because of the loss in state money, you're going to have a hole to fill, and the best way to do that, because by then we'll have more of the debt paid off. You can go to the voters and you can ask them for a transfer in funds from your debt service fund to your operating fund. It's a transfer of the levy. And so it's not a tax rate increase. It's just a transfer of your levy from one fund to another. And hopefully, because we have some capital projects money now, you won't need as much bonded debt to pay for those things. And so that'll allow that transfer and hopefully allow you to maintain, if not improve, your teacher salary structure, your not just teachers, but your support staff as well. So.
Pay for increases in health insurance.
And hopefully, hopefully we see a little more
Thank you, Paul.
flat line on
Very good. Well, bottom line is it's now more important than ever, as you've heard from Jenny, as you hear from Paul, that we need to be advocates. We need to be talking to our legislators. We need to know them. They need to know us on a first name basis so that we can have these conversations, as opposed to they go to Jeff City and hide, and then all of a sudden the puff of smoke comes out and we're stuck with. So my challenge to the community is now's the time to get involved, not wait till 25 when there's issues that we have to address there. So item 8B. Yep. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Now we'll go to 8B. 2023-2024 insurance renewal is an action item. Entertain a motion.
I move to approve the renewal rates from Blue Cross and Blue Shield as presented for the 2023-2024 school year.
Second.
Comments, discussion?
We've had a lot of conversation with the staff about this. I feel very confident the staff would like to maintain the existing Blue Cross Blue Shield plan. It is expensive. The renewal rate's 16% increase. But the options, quite frankly, are very, very limited. They involve not having a hospital in our community, many doctors that would be on the plan, an alternate plan that was provided. So I mean,
It's really not an option.
it's not. It's not.
It's
not.
like, why do they even bother
Yeah.
showing us that?
Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's approved. Item 8C, kitchen equipment. This is an action. Go
I
ahead.
move to approve the purchase of the kitchen equipment for the district as presented.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 8D, asphalt agreement, an action item. Entertain a motion.
Move to approve the agreement with Tandem Paving Company for summer asphalt projects as presented.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions, discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? It's approved. Item 8E, the OPA renewal. This is an action item. Entertain a motion.
I move to extend the food service management agreement with OPA for the 2023-24 school year, along with the amendment to the contract.
Any questions?
Second.
Seeing no questions, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 8, F, CCC shop installation work. This is an action item.
I move to approve the bid submitted by A Plus Insulation of Lenexa, Kansas for the insulation replacement with a spray foam on the exterior walls with a no-burn thermal barrier in the welding, agriculture, and construction shops totaling approximately $13,150.
Second.
Motion second. Any questions, discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Item 8G, CCC VRF change order. This is an action item. We entertain a motion.
I move to approve the change order from Newkirk Novak for the HVAC unit at CCC as presented.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item 9A.
I move to adjourn.
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, we stand adjourned.
That's, hey, we always wager a little bit.
Read a lot before we get here.